Our menstrual cycle is the gateway to our metaphysical cycle, which forms the epicentre of our empowerment as women. Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Sacred Womb podcast, where we talk about all things to do with befriending our menstrual cycle, deeply healing both our feminine and masculine aspects, and how we can indeed utilise our cyclical nature as a natural spiritual pathway that's encoded within our bodies. I'm your host, Melanie Swan, and you can also go to thesacredwomb.com for more information and loads of fantastic free resources. Okay, ladies, welcome back to the Sacred Womb podcast. And today is all about what is the Sacred Womb and why is it sacred. I realised I hadn't actually done a podcast explaining that. A podcast entitled The Sacred Womb, so I think it's really important I do that now. So this is episode 30, and before I start, I've got a contest for you to celebrate being back podcasting, and then we're going to get into the podcast. So you might have noticed that I've taken a little break as I had strep throat, and I've taken my time to recover as I've used natural methods as medicine, and it's worked. What I'd done in the past was taken antibiotics, which actually strengthened the strep and made it more intelligent. So this time I've taken my time to recover, and I'm still kicking it out. But I actually feel better than I did before now. I've cleaned up what I'm eating. I'm taking really good care of myself. So I might sound a little different today as my voice kind of readjusts, but I'm more than well enough to be back podcasting, and I'm going to do that every fortnight from now on. I was podcasting weekly, but part of the reason I got sick is I'd been taking on a little too much. Podcasting, actually preparing the podcasts and recording it and producing it takes about a day and a half. So I needed the rest, and what had happened is, I'm letting you know this because I'm wondering if you can identify with this. I'd let myself get caught up in thinking I should podcast weekly, I should do that. The more I'd been doing lots of more marketing training, and that just doesn't suit me, and so I'm adjusting. And whenever I start thinking I should be doing something, that just never goes well. So I'm telling you all of this to be authentic, to be real, and to destroy any kind of mask or projections of perfection that I have it all together, because I just don't. I can function pretty well, but that just doesn't mean shit doesn't hit the fan with me sometimes, because it does, and that's what it's like on our path of personal growth. We go through these phases, or I certainly do anyway, so I'm wondering if you can identify with that. So that just was not realistic or reachable for me. However, I've really thrown out the shoulds, the internal expectations, and weeded that out. And I've used all of that to strengthen my self-trust, self-care, and overall direction. So I actually really enjoyed it. I had lots of extra space, and as a result, I've revamped the Sacred Womb website. So I don't know if you've been on that lately, but I encourage you to check it out. I've made some lovely, I think it's more tweaks, but just corrected that course then. That feels more aligned for me now. And what I've been doing this past year, for those who don't know, is I've been setting up and running a new project called the Online Moon Lodge. So that's been open for over a year now. It's nice and stable, and the foundations are laid and grounded, and there's some lovely women in there having some transformations and some really grounded changes. So however, I can widen my focus happily again now and open my one-to-one work, because I'd taken a break from that whilst I set the Moon Lodge up and got that in good shape. But I actually miss my one-to-one work, and that's actually what I wanted to do. So for those who don't already know, I offer deep soul work specifically for women and ladies to celebrate getting my voice back, getting my alignment back, I'm opening my one-to-one work, and a thank you for your patience in waiting for this podcast is a contest to win three. You can win one of 3 30-minute deep soul work sessions with me. So to enter, firstly go to thesacredwomb.com/deep soul work and see it's for you. This is really important. I don't want to work with you if you're kind of just, I'll just give it a go and see if I win. I want to work with you and all women if there's a commitment there to the self, if there's some pain. Pain is usually our calling and our teacher, and we can get beneath that and see what's going on. So this is for you if you want to get to the root of what's going on, gain some clarity and relief, dissolve old emotional charge from the body, learn new self-healing practices. I'm really keen to work with you on that, to give you new tools that you can take away and use yourself. I find that very empowering. To also really feel safe in your body and restore your true essence and live it. I do that through a number of ways. So if you want to work with me on womb healing, if you have irregular or missed periods, PMT or PMS, or you're wanting to get pregnant, I look at the emotional, spiritual, energetic aspects of our lives. And, particularly with fertility, that's half of what's going on. PMT and PMS, that's usually pretty much what's going on. And womb healing, obviously, we need to look deep inside for that. And if you're wanting to use your cycle as a path of growth, healing and creativity, then I'm your woman. And if we're not using our cycle as a path of growth, healing and creativity, which is what it's for, then we can be in pain in certain areas. And if we're struggling in certain aspects of our cycle, then that tells us something. It's like a window in. Okay, so check that out, see if it's for you. And then all you need to do to enter is leave a podcast review on iTunes. Don't worry if you've not done this before. Full instructions are on thesacredwomb.com/review. And all these links are in the show notes, ladies. So you don't need to go and do that now. Listen to the podcast. Just really feel into if this work is for you, and then make your entry. So see if it's for you. Leave a podcast review. Take a screenshot of that podcast review, which is nice and easy on your mobile, and then email it to me. I can't just take your review as entry because it doesn't show up for a few weeks. And also your username is going to be different than your actual name often. So, but give me your emails. I'll put you into the contest to win a 30-minute deep soul work session with me. And then I'll announce the winners in episode 31. I look forward to receiving your entries and meeting those who win. But onwards with today's topic, and that's all about why is our womb sacred? What is our sacred womb? So to start this off, I'm going to read to you something that's on the Sacred Womb site. It's in the About section on the About page. And I wrote this when I actually birthed the Sacred Womb site. And it set the tone of the site, what it was, what it's for. And it really, I think, gives an apt introduction into what a sacred womb is. The womb, the void within, has been in collective hibernation for long enough, inducing shame, imbalance, pain on all levels, and estrangement from our body. The time has come for us to remember our sovereignty as co-creators, visionaries, and birthers of new consciousness, to renew our connection with nature and the Great Mother. Ponder for a moment, what if we are perfectly designed? What if our bodies are a divine gift? And what if the eternal ebb, flow and flood of our empowered feminine cycle brings us into our spiritual truth, balancing our health, relationships, communities, and the unwavering crystalline structure of our empowered masculine activates our inner authority an ability to bring creation into physical form. What would happen if we took full responsibility for this and cancelled our subscription to the old programming? If this sparks a memory, a deep soul memory, read on. This site is for you. It is co-created with a consciousness that supports and guides us directly. It's an ever-evolving resource for us to utilise as we wish, as we return to our seat of independent personal power, the sacred womb. Okay, so you can read that if you go to thesacredwomb.com and click About in the menu. That's the tone with which the Sacred Womb, the website, was created. But it also is aptly descriptive, I feel, of what our sacred womb is. So we all know that we have a physical womb as women. And even when that physical womb is not present, maybe there's been a hysterectomy, our metaphysical womb is still there. So you might have heard of people who've had limbs cut off, but they can still feel them. The energetic limb is still there. And so that hopefully demonstrates to you that all our organs, our body we have an energy body. And our womb has a metaphysical aspect to it that is still present when the physical has left. So our sacred womb center actually incorporates our energy and our physical womb. And what I found our womb center to be, when I say womb center, I include the metaphysical and the physical, but just to reiterate, if you haven't got a physical womb, the metaphysical is still there and it's intact. So I describe all this area, our reproductive system, our ovaries, our yoni, our womb, as the sacred womb center that incorporates everything. And this center is like a matrix upon which our reality is built, our personal reality is the way we see the world. It forms that foundation. It's like a web. And I've come to experience it as the epicenter of empowerment as women. So I've also found that my boundaries, the epicenter of my boundaries, are stored at the entrance to my yoni. The cervix has a gateway, if you like. The ovaries have their metaphysical role. The womb has its metaphysical role. So as we try to become empowered as women, if we're not in touch with ourselves at this level, our bodies, and the metaphysical aspect of it, then we're missing out. We're just simply missing out. Our intuition comes from there, and the womb, the physical womb, the metaphysical womb, the organs in the womb center, they form part of our intuition that connects with our heart, that connects with our head. There's a lovely red river of energy that flows up and helps our heart, our mind, and our womb communicate with each other. It makes sense really, because if we cut off any part of our body, all of which we have to use in a certain way, if we cut off any part of our body, we're going to suffer. And for, let's say, centuries, I don't know how long it's been, that we as women have been collectively shying away from our menstrual cycle. Our menstrual cycle is the gateway in. It's our gate in to the sacred womb, because it's such a physical process for us. We can't ignore it. Unfortunately, we found thousands of ways to ignore it. Cut off, don't feel it, stick a tampon in, carry on, try not to be cyclical, be flat, in order to compete with men, try to ignore it, hope it's not there, stick a coil in, put an implant in, any way to just stop that. And what we're saying to ourselves at a deep level is, I don't like my body, I don't like what I've got, and I wish it would go away. I wish I didn't have to put up with this. And that's really dangerous, because what we've got within our bodies, this menstrual cycle, these metaphysical aspects, they're inbuilt within us to empower us. How do we get empowered using our menstrual cycle? Some of you might be thinking, but I mean, I expect if you're listening to this podcast, you already know, you already have that deep knowing inside you. But just for clarity purposes, and if you want to pass this on to someone who's not in touch with it, our menstrual cycle takes us round the cycle of life every single month. Every single month. Birth, growth, realization, release, death. I'm not saying that in any particular order actually, but our menstrual cycle pulls us into different aspects of ourselves as we go around that cycle. So if we're working with our cycle and we're embracing it, as in really listening to ourselves on a daily basis, doesn't have to be perfect, just listening most of the time is good enough to get us going with this. What phase of my cycle am I on, and what can I do in this phase that is most suited to the underlying energy here? So just for example, in my ovulation phase, I feel very creative, very productive. In my moon time phase, when I'm bleeding, I feel very internal. I feel quite creative, often very creative, but I want to withdraw from the world because my senses are so heightened. I need to turn them inwards. If I interact with the world and my senses are picking up outward sounds, people, it's just, it's too much for me. I don't like it. I get grumpy and pissed and I have to remove myself. So I need that moon cave in order to turn my senses inwards and listen within, because that's why they get heightened, so we can really hear ourselves and beyond. Very important, hear ourselves and beyond. There is more than us. There is more than this physical reality. And our menstrual cycle is that way in. So if you are listening to this thinking, I track my cycle, but what next really? And the wonderful thing is your cycle will take you in. It's our pathway back home. So I go into more about this in the online Moon Lodge and the courses I teach in there, in the medicine bundles. But fundamentally, sisters, this is our pathway home. It's our natural spiritual pathway, and we've got it in our bodies. So when we realize that, and we own it, and we can live it as much as we can, like I said, doesn't need to be perfect. Our womb center, our sacred womb, starts to guide us, starts to speak to us. And I don't mean that in a particular manner. It can be through intuition, it can be through physical symptoms, but our womb has a consciousness of its own, just like we know the heart does. Sometimes we can be on our heads and kind of go, I know this is like, I'm trying to think very cognitively, logically about this, and what does my heart say? We know our heart's got a bigger consciousness than us, and so does our womb, so do our ovaries, so does our yoni. We can look at this as our menstrual cycle as a physical thing, and then the wider notion of it is a metaphysical thing that we can use as a barometer for where we're at in our health in our relationships, with our boundaries, and with our empowerment. Really finding our truth and our true voice. And, like you listened to this podcast in the beginning, that doesn't mean life is perfect. It actually means the shit hits the fan more, because our cycle, if you imagine a cycle, a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle joined together, so we're going round the circle of life each month, those joined together form a spiral. And what happens, the more cycles we work with, our personal growth speeds up. So we might feel a quickening within ourselves, and whoa, what's this? Like, I thought I'd sorted this, but we're just going deeper and deeper and deeper into clearing our fears, into clearing the bullshit, into clearing our conditioning, so that we can actually feel our true essence, our true selves, and let that shine in the world and really meet the world with that. And share our medicine. We all have medicine. By medicine, I mean gifts, unique gifts. We're like a piece of the jigsaw puzzle. That's how I experience us all as women, in our unity, in our empowerment, and as channels for the divine feminine. Not just channels, but embodiments. That's very important. On our spiritual path, which is, I see, it's no different. Spiritual is just personal development. Constant personal development, so that we clear our shit to get back to our truth. That's growth and development is our spiritual path, if you like. For me, I've experienced that myself, and I've seen lots of other people like that, and I know a lot of the pitfalls. I'm sure I've got some coming. But we can think spiritual is different from our actual growth and development, the gritty stuff, the stuff we don't like, the stuff we push away, which is our shadow stuff, the stuff behind us we'd rather just not fucking look at. It is there. And our cycle will bring it up for us, particularly around the premenstrual phase, particularly around our moon time phase. But we can use our cycle to look at all of these things in context. Where am I at? Where's the moon cycle at? And it's a map. It's a map home, a wonderful map home that, as we get closer to home, I'm speaking for myself here, the map can fade a little, and I don't have to hold on to, this archetype, or I'm this archetype, because I don't really resonate with that. For me, my menstrual cycle takes me into the unknown. Every time I think, I've got a handle on this, I think. No, my menstrual cycle flips that on its head and shows me another aspect of myself, shows me where else I need to look at, shows me in my relationships, where am I not empowered? And do you know what? If I don't rest enough, take time out of normal daily life, if I don't give myself enough space during moon time, I get period pain. First day for a few hours, not pleasant, and also means I haven't exercised enough through that cycle. It's such a great barometer. I get great feedback from my womb centre. It's cramping. Then I can look at what food I've eaten that cycle. Where are my boundaries at? What's my relationship like? And I can uncover so much stuff because I'm really deeply listening to myself, and my womb centre has pulled me really deep within. And sometimes I can get beyond that veil and contact the void, the collective womb, whatever you want to call it. And so really our womb centre, our metaphysical womb, we've got a physical womb we birth new life through. We actually, a spirit incarnates through our bodies. How freaking awesome is that? A spirit incarnating through our bodies, and we're birthing and we're creating life. But we can also birth new consciousness, our metaphysical womb. We can go deep within, contact the collective void, and bring that through to this reality. There are lots of energies that want to be expressed in this reality, and they need an anchor. They need an anchor, a physical anchor in this reality on earth in order to do that. So we're working. That's how we can work with spirit. We become not a bridge, not just a channel, because we have to embody that. No easy feat, because it's gonna, as that energy comes through us and within us, it's gonna work out all the stuff that doesn't match it. Really, the lower vibration, fear-based stuff. So, wow, ladies, this is just, I'm saying a lot more than I thought I'd say here. I got a few notes, and once I get going, I just love talking about this. I love being this. I love breathing this in my everyday life, and I love how it knocks me down and humbles me sometimes, and I have to get back up. I don't have to, but I get back up clearer, stronger, more aligned, humbled. I think I've said that once. And softer. And I don't need a dodgy guru or, I've had great guides in the past, but I don't need anyone for this. My sisters, God, yes, I love talking about that with them. I love sitting in circle with them. But my own empowerment, my responsibility, and my cycle is my teacher. And we can all have that. But we got to listen. We got to make some changes if we're not listening. We need to meditate. We need to connect with our womb. And we need to slow down enough in our moon time to be able to listen and clear that space and listen to signs and symptoms. But like I said, we can just start where we're at now and take one day and one cycle at a time. And as far as I can see, I stare into this cycle and I look into it, and it just goes deeper and deeper, and it's never ending growth, a never ending journey, a spiral inwards, a map back home. Whew, okay. Wow. I really enjoyed that. I hope you got lots out of it. My words have gone now, and now I've said that, I want to just go and sit with my womb, the awesomeness of what we as women are born with, our birthright, our sovereignty. It's ours to reclaim. Nobody is stopping us. Nobody can stop us. There's no big corporation. There's no witch burnings. There's nothing. There's nothing in our way. All we need to do is connect, do our work. Well, I say all. No mean feat. It's our life's work. But that's what we can do. Nobody's stopping us now. It's our time. Okay, ladies, thank you for listening. I appreciate your ear. I appreciate your commitment to yourself. I really care about the empowerment of women on our planet at this point in time, and this is the work I came to do, and this is the work I am doing, and there's nothing stopping me either. So, back to the beginning. If you want to win one of 3 30-minute sessions with me, leave a podcast review, take a screenshot of it, and email it to me at Melanie at The Sacred Womb. Nice and simple. I look forward to hearing from you, seeing your reviews as well, seeing what you get out of this, receiving your entries, and I'll announce the winners on the next podcast. So all links to enter are in the show notes, and wishing you a fabulous, womb-centered, bloody, amazing day. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast and that you got some useful tips out of it that can make a genuine difference in your daily life. And if you'd love to work deeper with this stuff, then do head on over to thesacredwomb.com, where you can sign up to receive the weekly newsletter and an invite to our private Facebook group, where you can share, learn and grow with like-minded women in a safe, supported space. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do leave us a rating, and your comments are very, very welcome. And I'll see you next time.